Update 9.20 is just around the corner, and with it, dozens of rebalanced vehicles, 30 versus 30 battles, Chinese TD branch, improvements to the stun mechanic, and another batch of vehicles in HD quality. Get the details right here. US vehicles. There was a time when only 3 nations were represented in the game, and Tier 10 medium tanks were yet to come. Those were the good times for the M46 Patton. A robust turret and a fine gun with excellent depression were the hallmarks of the tank and the branch on the whole. Much time has passed. The M48 came out. The M46 got an HD model. The branch still remains very player-friendly in terms of progression, but higher-tier vehicles have lost much of their appeal. Now, with the release of 9.20, this will all change. The Pattons will reclaim their tanking glory, and that's with a capital T. Both tanks had their turret armor improved. The commander's cupola of the M48 is now smaller, and opponents will have a harder time aiming at it. The vehicle has undergone a comprehensive restyling and now looks even better and more solid. And the main thing, this flagship inherited the features of the tank much loved by many players back in the day. French tank destroyers have undergone noteworthy changes. Tier 8 and 9 vehicles got a new 120mm gun, and with it 3 and 4 round magazines respectively. This will not only make these vehicles more enjoyable in battle, but also better prepare players for the beast at Tier 10. The Foch 155, now a special vehicle, was removed from the tech tree and replaced by the AMX-50 Foch B. All players who had the original tank destroyer in their garages before the release of Update 9.20 will keep the vehicle. Moreover, these players will get the new vehicle for free as well. At first glance, both TDs are almost identical, but this impression is misleading. Just look at the guns. The new vehicle got the gun from the AMX-50B. However, compared to the French Heavy, this gun has better aiming time and accuracy. But wait for the punchline. The icing on the cake is a 6-round magazine. In just 10 seconds, the new Foch can reduce enemy hit points by almost 2,500. Sounds wicked, looks equally wicked. Medium tanks, AMX-30 and AMX-30B. The vehicles had excessively high gun accuracy and excessively thin armor. As such, they did not spur players into action, rather inciting them to hide behind the backs of their allies. This had to change, and the characteristics of these vehicles were adjusted. Their guns lost some of their accuracy and penetrating power, but now have the highest damage per minute among all medium tanks. The 2 tanks now enjoy much more durable turrets, which promotes a more aggressive and safe hull-down gameplay at medium ranges. As for the bot shot, after extensive tests and tons of feedback from players, it was decided to leave the tank's parameters as they are. However, the vehicle has undergone a change after all. It received an HD model. Now it finally looks like a true French dandy. The update brought changes to 9 Soviet vehicles. The T-44 medium tank has become far too medium in recent years. The vehicle received improved gun parameters and reinforced frontal turret armor. Now the effective armor of the gun mantlet is about 200mm, and turret cheeks are almost 300mm. The same changes were made to the turrets of the premium T-54 first prototype and T-44 100. Turret armor of the T-54 and Object 140 was improved as well. Sad news for all those ISU-152 lovers. The vehicle will no longer have its BL-10 gun. It was replaced with the D4S. But if you leave emotions out of the equation, it's not that bad at all. The new gun has the same parameters as the legendary gun, except its armor penetration capacity. But hey, 260mm is a fair number for a Tier 8 vehicle. Besides this, the vehicle now has more hit points, while a number of guns on the way to the top were removed to facilitate players' progression with the vehicle. Another Soviet TD, the Object 268. It now enjoys a significantly increased projectile velocity for the base shell. Horizontal gun traverse limits were increased almost twofold, making it easier to engage long-range targets, especially fast long-range targets. The IS-7, one of the iconic vehicles in the game. With the introduction of new Tier 10 vehicles, the 7 lost much of its former glory. That's why Veteran has got more hit points, greater specific engine power, and better gun aiming. Improved maneuverability will make reaching key points easier. More hit points, coupled with strong frontal armor, will result in better survivability. Better aiming will guarantee that the gun will hurt the opponent more reliably. The IS-7 reclaims its title of an excellent assault vehicle. Balance tweaks were made to several heavy tanks from the land of the rising sun. The OI Experimental lost its 105mm gun. It was too effective for Tier 5. The vehicle is now a bit slower, but for a good reason. It had its frontal armor improved. The OI lost some weight. Previously, low-tier vehicles couldn't penetrate its armor even from the rear. Now the aft of the tank is thinner, with vulnerable spots. The Tier 8 OHO had its arsenal expanded with a new premium shell, which penetrates 253mm of armor. Now this gun is far more than a regular howitzer. Tier 9 and 10 tanks became a bit more sluggish, with turret and hull traverse speed reduced. It will now be a bit easier to outmaneuver them in close combat. Their front armor pattern has also undergone some changes. It now has vulnerable areas. Armor thickness is now 250 to 260mm for the Tier 10 and 230 to 240mm for the Tier 9 vehicle. Now other vehicles will have good chances of penetrating their glacis plates without using premium ammunition. The mouse. With the release of the 9.17.1 update, the vehicle started to outperform others by a significant margin. With time, it became evident that we had gone a bit too far in our aspiration to improve the tank. That's why some pinpoint adjustments were made to the characteristics of the tank. The developers did their best to keep the feel of playing on this tank unchanged. It will keep bouncing enemy shells off like the real mouse. Only its hit points and reload time changed slightly. The Jagdtiger 8.8 and Mäuschen, another two revised German vehicles. The tank destroyer had its hull traverse speed increased, while the heavy tank received base suspension with increased crossing capacity. This will make the path to the mouse easier. Minor but very important changes to SPGs. Increased splash radius led to unpleasant situations. For example, you were behind cover, thought you were safe, but still received damage and got stunned. This hardly made the game any more enjoyable. Thus, it was decided to improve the damage calculation mechanism. A set of additional variables was introduced to properly calculate damage through obstacles. In brief, if cover is more than 2 meters thick and the vehicle is completely hidden behind it, there will be no damage and no stun. If it is less than 2 meters thick, the vehicle will get damaged and stunned, as if it were in an open field. The third case is when the cover is more than 2 meters thick, but the vehicle is only partially hidden behind it. In this situation, stun duration and damage will depend on the area of the vehicle hit by fragments. Based on the fragment coverage area, the vehicle will receive 25% to 100% of the total damage and stun duration. Rumors about it have been in the air for a long time. Many players asked for action-packed armor clashes on an even larger scale. Now, after many internal tests, the new random battle mode enters the open testing stage. Meet Grand Battles. The rules are very simple. 2 teams, 30 players each, Tier 10 vehicles only. 15 minutes to either capture the enemy base or destroy all opposing vehicles. A new map was created exclusively for the mode, Nebelberg, 1,400 by 1,400 meters in size. For now, it's the only one of its kind, but more massive maps will follow in the future. Important note, you can earn medals and complete personal missions in the new mode. The path to the Object 260 will become much easier. Getting into a grand battle is just as easy as getting into an assault or encounter battle. Go to game settings and check the respective box. Then click battle, and there's a probability that you'll get into an epic battle. The new mode will help reduce the number of Tier 10 tanks in 15 versus 15 random battles. Playing in higher tier vehicles will become more enjoyable. In addition, Grand Battle is yet another mode for earning bonds. The currency will be granted based on experience earned in battle. The developers didn't forget about the players who don't fancy 30 versus 30 battles. Bonds can now be earned in regular random battles. The mechanic is very similar. Get into a Tier 10 only battle and perform well in it. Check the game portal for details. Several months ago, Chinese tank destroyers were introduced on Chinese servers. Players in other regions also wanted to see them in the game, and now we are adding these vehicles to other regions as well. It's a full-scale tech branch comprised of 9 vehicles. Some of them are very similar to Soviet tank destroyers, both in visuals and gameplay. Higher-tier vehicles in the branch can boast solid armor and powerful guns. They are equally good at sniping long-range targets and spearheading assaults. In this update, 11 vehicles were remodeled in HD quality. Besides the bot shot, there are 3 German vehicles, 3 SPGs, the American T-69, the Soviet Churchill 3, the Chinese M5A1 Stuart, and the British Matilda Black Prince. That's it for Update 9.20. Meanwhile, a new season of ranked battles is fast approaching. Stay tuned. Good luck in battle.